What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Colluding. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful Monday. If you are, make sure you leave a like on this video. If you haven't yet, please do subscribe down below. I would greatly appreciate it. We've got some new interesting files in terms of the poke companies interfering directly, the pharmaceutical industry interfering directly with Twitter, including and specifically called out by Pfizer. Now, I know there's a lot of fatigue here. I get that. But if you can, stay with me here because this is a pretty big one too. Leave a like on the video. Make sure you share it. Get this out there. It's all building to something. Also, quick reminder, coffeebrandcoffee.com. Today will be the last day to get the peppermint hot cocoa. It's on a mega sale right now. Make sure you pick that up. Also, we've got a couple of coffee flavors that are going away for the year. You can see white chocolate cranberry is still here, but peppermint mocha sold out. Eggnog, this is your last chance to grab eggnog until next year. Obviously, we've got maple pecan, French toast, our wildly popular blueberry cobbler, and our dark roast and light roast coffees too. But if you wanted to try some of the seasonal flavors, make sure you pick them up today. Pick up some cold brew bags, maybe some decaf or even K-Cups too. But last chance on a lot of flavors, so don't miss out. This new piece from the Twitter files, how the pharmaceutical industry lobbied social media to shape context around poke policy. The push included direct pressure from Pfizer partner BioNTech to censor activists who demanded low-cost generic pokes for low-income countries. Well, you can't not make all the money. You know, obviously, if you've been following the channel, you know that there's a lot going on with these evil, poke companies. And I often lament how weird it is. Like, I distinctly remember being like 18 or 19, 20, the first time I could vote. I forget which I might have been 20 the first time I could actually vote for president. But I remember like considering myself a liberal at that time and like hating pharmaceutical companies, hating censorship. And now it's like, that's a right-wing thing. Isn't that weird? Anyway, in 2020, it was clear that the lockdowns will require rapid innovation. Early on, there was a push to make a solution equitable. An international partnership to share ideas, technology, new forms of medicine to rapidly solve the crisis. But global drug giants saw the crisis as an opportunity for unprecedented profit. Behind closed doors, Pharma launched a massive lobbying blitz to crush any effort to share patents/IP for new COOF-related medicine, including therapeutics and pokes. BIO, the lobby group that represents biopharma, including Moderna and Pfizer, wrote to the newly elected Biden administration demanding the United States government sanction any country attempting to violate patent rights and create generic low-cost COOF medicine or pokes. That brings us to Twitter. So, pharmaceutical companies being evil and profiteering, that's probably not as surprising. But now we see where Twitter gets involved. The global lobbying blitz included direct pressure on social media. BioNTech, which developed Pfizer's product, reached out to Twitter to request that Twitter directly censor users tweeting at them to ask for generic low-cost alternatives. Oh, this is in German. Great. Twitter's reps quickly responded to the Pharma request. Of course they did, which was also backed by the German government. A lobbyist in Europe asked the content moderation team to monitor the accounts of Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and of activist hashtags like People's Poke. We got contacted by BioNTech as well as the German Federal Office for Information Security for Online Campaign Targeting the pharmaceutical companies developing the Coof poke is announced for tomorrow, Monday 14th. The authorities are warning about serious consequences of the action, i.e. posts and flood comments that may violate TOS, as well as takeover of user accounts, are to be expected. Especially the personal accounts of the management of the poke manufacturers are said to be targeted. Accordingly, fake accounts could also be set up. The German authorities also refer to the source, amongst others, its permissible campaign under which users may send auto-populated tweets. You can't possibly get in the way of Pfizer's profit. The potential, quote, fake accounts that Twitter monitored for protesting Pfizer, these were real people. Here's one the Twitter team flagged for potential terms of service violations. I talked to Terry, a 74-year-old retired bricklayer in the UK, on the phone. It's not clear what actions Twitter ultimately took on this particular request. Several Twitter employees noted in subsequent messages that none of this activism constituted TOS violation, but the company continued monitoring tweets in a separate push. And I think it's also important to point out that we've seen this before. Twitter, where like they say, oh, there's no violative content at this time, and then the account magically gets poofed off the planet of the Earth months later. Because once you're under their eye, so to speak, bad things always seem to happen. In a separate push, Pfizer and Moderna lobbying group, Bio, fully funded a special content moderation campaign designed by a contractor called Public Good Projects, which worked directly with Twitter to set content moderation rules around the Coof misinformation, air quotes if you're just listening. Bio provided $1.275 million to the campaign, part of which is revealed through tax forms. The PGP campaign, called Stronger, helped Twitter create content moderation bots, which select which public health accounts got verification, and helped crowdsource content takedowns. Again, we saw, just how often, somebody was removed off the platform or banned or, added context misinformation tag, and ultimately ended up being correct, right? Science is evolving, but not at the expense of money for Pfizer. Many of the tweets the bio-funded campaign focused on were truly unhinged misinformation, like claims that the product contained microchips, but others, Stronger, lobbied Twitter on were more of a gray area, like poke passports and mandates, policies that coerce getting the poke. So, yes, there was some genuine misinformation, but you can see there's also people who are talking about remember the passports, the poke passports that were never going to happen? Mm-hmm. The Moderna Pfizer funded campaign included direct, regular emails with lists of tweets to take down and others to verify. Here's an example of those type of emails that went straight to Twitter lobbyists and content moderators. Many focused, in fact, on Zero Hedge, which of course was suspended at the time. You see, this is misinformation and verification request. Please see the attached this week's misinfo report, along with a batch. This is all about protecting their profit, by the way. And the fact that Twitter even had this open line of communication with drug companies is sickening. Why? Probably because Pfizer spent a ton of money. By the way, written by someone who, of course, has pronouns in their bio. We saw people opposed to the poke are capitalizing on the New York Times article about the CDC withholding poke information. The articles do not contain misinformation themselves, but they are using the news to further prove the CDC is untrustworthy. So, by the way, why is it your job to do that? Notably, this massive push to censor and label Coof misinformation never applied to drug companies, when Big Pharma wildly exaggerated the risks of creating low-cost generic Coof products. Stronger did nothing. The rules applied only to critics of the industry. You see this tweet here. The biopharma sector employs 900,000 workers and supports 4.4 million U.S. jobs. Those jobs would be at risk if there is a low-cost alternative for people. I mean, absolutely. And Li Fang finishes with, here are my reported piece with more detail. I was given some access to Twitter emails. I agreed, signed nothing. Twitter had no input on anything I wrote. I mean, it's absolutely insane that you had Pfizer. I mean, I guess everyone's like, by now, everyone's just like, yeah, Jeremy, we know. Yeah, we know. But you had Pfizer and Moderna directly telling Twitter, you know, hey, you gotta police the speech of these American citizens. And we're going to say they're bots, even though a simple phone call would prove they're not. Absolutely disgusting. Will we get any justice here? I sure hope so. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it. And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe today. I would absolutely appreciate that. And we'll talk to you again real soon.